Are you wondering whether you qualify for indefinite leave to remain right here in the UK? And perhaps how to meet the requirements? Well, this video is for you. Listen up. We're going to go step by step explaining the whole process, what you need, and even common mistakes that people make. So firstly, let's talk about the definition of indefinite leave to remain. UK indefinite leave to remain is the settlement process all foreign nationals must undergo before a British citizenship application. It is the bridge between the UK visa status and British citizenship. So firstly, let's talk about the financial requirements of ILR. Indefinite leave to remain costs £2,885 as of 2025. You do not need to pay the immigration health surcharge. You will only need to pay if you're in a UK visa. When you do apply for indefinite leave to remain, there will be no further financial requirement. You must simply show that you've been living in the UK lawfully under a qualifying visa and that you have met the financial requirements for that visa every year that you've been here. For example, for the skilled worker visa, you must be sponsored for a job on the immigration salary list paying above £38,700 or the going rate for the job you do. You must meet the salary threshold every year you are in the UK on this route. For the health and care worker visa, you must be paid a minimum of £23,200 or above the going rate for your job. You must have a job offer from an approved provider and your occupation must be eligible. You can check your occupational code to see if you're eligible. Now let's talk about the language proficiency requirements. Because when you apply for indefinite leave to remain, there will be also requirements related to your English language skills. Now you can prove those in several ways. For example, you can prove this by holding a UK degree taught in English, being from a majority English-speaking country such as USA, Canada, Australia, or passing an English language test at B1 level or higher, though it must be approved by the Secure English Language Test or SELT. These usually cost about £150 to sit. On top of that, there's also the Life in the UK test that you need to take. The Life in the UK test is a 24-question multiple choice test about British traditions, culture, history and law. To pass, you must answer 18 out of 24 or 75% of questions correctly. The test costs £50 to sit and is available at multiple locations in the UK. Whilst most people will have to sit the Life in the UK test, if you apply for British citizenship down the line, you will not have to resit. Your score will actually carry over. On top of that, if you're under 18, over 65, or have a medical condition, you will be exempt from taking a test altogether. Now let's talk about the residency requirements. This is a confusing topic, so listen close. The residency period is one of the foremost requirements for UK indefinite leave to remain. This is the period of time you must continuously live in the UK on a valid visa to be eligible for indefinite leave to remain. Some rules apply to the residency requirement that must be met regardless of your pathway. Essentially, you must have lived in the UK continuously, you must not have been outside the UK for over 180 days in any 12 months, and you must not travel outside the UK while awaiting an indefinite leave to remain application decision. Now let's break down each route for residency based on 2, 3, 5, 10 or 20 years depending on the pathway you're eligible for. The shortest residency routes, the 2-year and 3-year routes, are only available for those that came to the UK on one of two specialized visas. Firstly, there's the Innovative Founder visa. On this pathway, you must convince industry bodies that you have contributed to the UK economy by creating jobs and revenue that align with your business plan. Secondly, there's the Global Talent visa. On the Global Talent pathway, you must demonstrate significant achievements in your field, such as being a leading expert or winning a prestigious award. If you didn't come to the UK on any of the two listed, then most likely you're going to be eligible for the 5-year period. So let's cover that next. The two most common pathways to indefinite leave to remain residency after 5 years are the skilled worker visa and spouse visa pathways. You can also contribute towards residency as an asylum claimant and on multiple other specialist pathways. These include, for example, health and care worker visa, family visa, religion visa, sportsperson visa, ancestry visa, family reunion visa, and many others. If you want the full list, you can check out our blog or go to the government website. Something that many people forget about is that you can actually switch between visas and it still counts towards one continuous period. So you can start on one visa, switch to another, and you won't have to restart your 5-year process. It will all count towards the time spent in the UK. However, one important detail is that you have to be on your latest visa for at least 12 months before applying. Now, sadly, there's also visas that do not contribute to the 5-year period. If you're on one of these visas, you're likely going to have to apply through a 10-year route. It mostly encompasses temporary visas that do not contribute to residency period. For example, temporary work visas, visitor visas, student visas, graduate visas, or global business mobility visas. Whilst these visas do not contribute towards your 5-year period, they do make it easier to switch to a visa that will make you eligible to start earning the time spent here in the UK. So for example, if you're on a student visa, it will be very easy for you to switch to a skilled worker visa down the line and then start earning your time. Now let's talk about the 10-year residency route. If you haven't been eligible for anything so far, this is likely the route for you. The 10-year route is for people over 18 who have lived in the UK for 10 years continuously, or 7 years for children, on any lawful visa but are not eligible to apply for indefinite leave to remain via the 5-year route because their visa is not listed as an ILR eligible visa. Now, the 10-year route does not include time spent on visitor visa, ETA, or transit visa in the UK, but there are many visas that the Home Office considers lawful residence. These include visas like student visa, graduate visa, youth mobility visa, skilled worker visa, family and private life visas, asylum and refugee status, temporary or discretionary leave. And you can mix and match those visas. You do not need to stay on one visa the entire 10 years. Now, there's also something called the 10-year private life route that you may be interested in. This could include time spent on spouse visa, but you couldn't meet financial requirements of a 5-year route, or parent of a British child or settled child visa. And as always, you must have held a private life visa for at least a year during your 10 continuous years in the UK before applying for indefinite leave to remain. If you didn't qualify for the 2, 3, 5, or 10-year pathways, there's also the 20-year route. The 20-year route covers anyone in the UK without a visa or full visa history. While you don't need to show evidence of visas, you must prove you've continuously lived in the UK for 20 years. This route can be used by those who initially entered the UK illegally or spent some time in the UK illegally. This, therefore, is typically the process of legalizing your stay in the UK. If you're unsure which pathway you qualify for and what the extra documents that you might need to prove you are eligible for that pathway, we're always here to help. Now, just applying via those routes is not enough. You also need something called the proof of good character. This specifically relates to your immigration and criminal record. So, you must not have had serious criminal convictions leading to over 12 months in prison. You must not have had recent criminal convictions, including multiple minor offenses. You must not have breached immigration laws, including overstaying and breaching visa conditions. And lastly, you must not have defrauded the state, such as engaging in tax fraud or using fake documentation. If you're applying via a partner visa, on top of the good character, you will also need documents that prove you have a legitimate relationship. You will need to provide joint financial statements, correspondence to the same address, and potentially show your relationship is subsisting with photographs detailing life events, messages, and more. There are also documents that you will need to provide regardless of your situation or the pathway that you've chosen. You must provide multiple documents to prove your eligibility for ILR. This includes a valid passport or travel document, current e-visa or BRP showing your immigration status, payslips and bank statements, minimum of 6 months, employment records or self-employment records if applicable, evidence of savings if relying on savings to meet financial requirements, absence records, so proof of time spent outside the UK, ensuring that it's under the 180 days, utility bills, council tax, or any tenancy agreements for proof of residence, and depending on your visa, there may also be other documents you will need to provide. Now that you know whether you're eligible or not, let's talk about some of the most common mistakes people make when applying. Some of the most common mistakes that we've been seeing are, for example, incomplete documentation, incomplete or outdated English language test certificates, misunderstanding financial thresholds, and errors on application forms that may lead to refusals. But remember, you don't have to do it alone. If you're struggling with your application, if there's any questions that you still have, you can always count on us. You can reach out via telephone, email, social media. Any way to contact us, we'll be glad to help. And of course, like and subscribe if there are any additional topics you'd like us to cover. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next time.